So officially, our first guest tonight played tight end at BYU, caught the game-winning pass to beat Utah in Salt Lake in 2006, plays in his own band, has brought his guitars to the show tonight. We're going to hear from him in just a little bit playing, but we want to visit with him and welcome you to our lair here in Provo. What do you think of our place?
Oh, it's awesome. Thanks for having me.
So fun.
Great backdrop and everything.
Just so you know, the last time that we had live music on the show is when we brought Libby in, right?
Yeah.
So my daughter Libby, that's a Broadway star. No, I brought the guitar.
Oh, did you play?
I brought the guitar and played in the company. Libby did a couple songs. Was it Christmas time? She had Christmas tune, a couple of fun tunes. That's the last time we had live music in studio.
We're taking it up a notch tonight because we got an electric guitar.
Yeah, we got electric. I just played the acoustic on the mic.
Yeah, well, I'll do a little of both.
That's so fun.
Well, welcome back to Utah. Having moved the clan from Vegas, you settled in and good to be back?
Yeah, it's nice. You know, I grew up in Orem and the family, for the most part, my wife and I, we both have a lot of family here.
Sure.
So, yeah, it's nice to be back and
get to more games now.
Yeah, and that too. You know, here for just all the events going on, and it's more like, oh yeah, like I mean, I didn't go to a game this year, but it
next
was more
year,
possible.
Yeah, Kalani
it was more of a choice.
Welcomes everybody back, and so it'll be a natural for you. In fact, he's like, I'm sure if you wanted to, Kalani would say, yeah, come be on the bench. Like, yeah, absolutely. He loves to have the alumni around, and it's a great. He really creates a family atmosphere, and it's more convenient for those of us that live around here. So it'd be great.
For sure, yeah, I think so. And I always have people tell me, like, just tell them you want to come to the game. And I don't know, like, I have a hard time just feeling like I'm entitled to just be like, hey, let me on the sideline, you know. Hey, I'll ask once in a while, but
you're entitled.
You can. How satisfying was it for you to watch that BYU went up at Utah this last year? Especially, think about this. The last time BYU went up there was 18 years ago when you caught that ball. That's the last time BYU won at Utah.
Yeah.
Although you and I won sort of at Utah. I'm trying to remember, didn't you play with me and Sean Bradley and those guys when we went and played those Utah alumni guys in that flag game?
Yeah.
And no, I think they beat us. Dang it. Cottonwood High School. We sold it out. I can't remember even who won.
I don't know who won either.
It was to raise money, but I think I did get to throw some balls to Johnny in that one. We brought Sean Bradley in. This is back before his accident. And we waited till we got down to the 10-yard line, and we had Sean hidden just for fun, in the locker room.
Yeah.
And then the announcer came on and said, it looks like BYU's bringing in the secret weapon. And Sean jogs out 7'6", and we have him just go post up in the end zone. I just throw it like 12 feet up there.
Tough to stop. Tough to stop at 7'6".
Yeah, that's the first time I had met him, and I saw him out of the corner of my eye, and I'm like, someone's in the huddle with their kid on their shoulders, and
he's that big.
Yeah.
I was standing next to him talking to him on the sideline, and we were just talking, and we were watching defenses out there, and I turned over, and I realized I'm talking right into his side, like just barely above his hip. It's amazing what 7'6" is.
So you know what it's like to beat the Utes on their home field, and so for BYU to do it last year, and you're watching it, what'd you think?
Well, my daughter's here. She came with me today, and she saw me. Like, that's one of the most excited I've ever been watching a sporting event as an adult. For sure.
Was he going crazy?
You ran a victory lap like in the house?
Lap, she says.
And I have people, when they talk about in my game in 2006, always kind of telling me like what they did and jumping up and like hitting their head on the ceiling in the basement and putting a hole in it or whatever. And I was like, man, like I think I was more excited, as a fan, because you're so powerless, right? So it's like you see it happen and it was just awesome.
So victory lap around the house. What was your route?
I don't know if I'd say it was a lap. I ran into like one room and ran back, and I was just fist pumped. I was so pumped up that I just had a feeling, that he's gonna make the kick. And BYU's kind of had some bad luck with game-winning field goals, so it was a little bit like
not since Will's been here.
Yeah,
but over the years,
yeah. But he was ready, and you could see him smiling on the sideline and stuff before. So I'm like, he's got it. And as soon as he kicked it and you see the trajectory, I'm just like, oh my gosh. Because honestly, throughout that whole game, we didn't have that much business being in the game and winning the game. Like, it was not a great performance overall, but to pull it out at the end is like just so awesome.
Did you hear K-Pop's comment after the game when they asked him, and He went to Will and said, "Which hash do you want it on?" And Will goes, "It doesn't matter. I'll go through the pipes. I don't care."
Yep.
What do you think? What do you think about that for a kicker?
That's awesome. That's the mentality. It's like it doesn't matter because if you do start getting too focused, because it seems to me like right-footed kickers, they usually kind of like it on the left hash, right? Because it kind of curves in there. But that's the mentality you got to have. It's like if you're a little out of your comfort zone, it's like, and you need it to be a certain way, it's like it gets more sketchy. So you just you got to be.
They are money. We had him on the show.
He and his wife.
Vanderhaar was here
the
too.
The punter and the holder. He punts and holds. His wife were on here, and we said, "Were you guys nervous?" And they said, "Not really." And we said to the wives, "Were you nervous?" And it was like, "Yeah, we were terrified."
Yeah. It's way more nerve-wracking watching. And some people ask me too, were you nervous catching the ball? And it's just catching a pass. It's right there. I've done it tens of thousands of times. But when I was watching, I knew what happened too, obviously in the replay. I was watching the next day when they showed it, we were at a family gathering, and I was a little more nervous then, even though I knew the outcome.
Yeah, because there's always a chance.
You watch this like, do I really catch this?
There's always a chance in the replay that he might miss. You watch it over and over and over.
So this is 2 wins in a row against Utah, and it's been how many years since Utah's beaten BYU, because they didn't play for quite a while before that, but 2 in a row. Number 3's coming October 18th when they come to Provo again. BYU hasn't won 3 games in a row since 1992 against Utah. What do you think? Is this going to be 3 in a row this year?
I don't see why not. Get in there and execute the plan, and they have the guys to do it. So I think they should. And
you played. So Jake Retzlaff comes back as a senior quarterback after having started the whole year. You've played with quarterbacks that were underclassmen, but you played with John Beck was that as a senior? I think you played with him as a senior.
Yeah.
What difference does that? Because I keep saying to people, I think the offense will take a big step forward. The quarterback's a senior. You've done that. You've been on the field. How big of a difference is it for a guy to be a senior that's played a bunch at that position?
I mean, the quarterback position to me is like the hardest thing in sports. It's like, I don't even understand how those guys can do what they're doing back there. Like, it just takes a tiny bit of experience. I helped out coaching like once a week. I was in my late 20s, so I was still in pretty decent shape. And they needed a scout team quarterback for one practice. I'm like, I'll do it. And so that was like one of the few times in my life I've really played quarterback, like with a line there and receivers running routes. And it's just like it's the most difficult thing ever. So experience for a quarterback is just huge. And Jake coming back, with that experience of, leading some game-winning drives, I think there are some errors and stuff that he made, throughout the season that I'm sure he's going to be learning from. So, yeah, I mean, I expect that you learn from the good things, you learn from the mistakes, and you just he's got it. I mean, it just seems like he's going to be better,
Yeah.
Next in from Pensacola, Florida, the Outlaw Bandit. Hey, Dave and Blaine, watching from Bountiful. Good to have you guys on the stream tonight. We're visiting with Jonny Harline on the Wise Guys, presented by Brady Plus, distributed by the Deseret News. So the Utes had a 12-year head start in this Power 5, Power 4 now football game. Do you think BYU's caught them in 2 years, and the trajectory now of kind of a separation of momentum on BYU side moving forward?
It looks that way. There's certainly peers, and BYU's got the best of the contest in the last couple matchups, and so I think you have to say yes, and hopefully, like you said, the trajectory continues to where love to see BYU dominate for a little while. Utah kind of had the upper hand for
too long.
I want to say like really kind of 2 decades. We had like just a few last second wins, in the 2000s and the 2010s, right. And so it would be great to see BYU just kind of, get some dominance in that rivalry for a bit.
Drummond, Montana, the Mackeys are in with us. We're going to ask you some tight end questions in a moment. But first, let's
talk about music.
Let's get the guitar out.
Let's talk music.
So see what's happening here.
So while you're grabbing your guitar, we'd let people know that you play in a band called Tiger Frog, right? We got that right?
That's right.
Tiger Frog. Play the guitar. You sing. And we're going to have you grab the guitar. But first, tell us about your history with the guitar and your history in music. Like, this is something you've done for a long time. Like, even when you were playing football, you loved music and you loved playing the guitar. So how did you get into all of this, and how important is this as a part of your life, your music?
Okay, so I mean, I've played since I was a kid. I was like 7 years old, taking piano lessons. And I get on my kids now, like, do your half-hour practice, and it's like that's what I did, like every day. And sometimes I would complain, but I liked music overall. So it wasn't a huge chore most of the time, I think, to get me to practice. So I would do my practice, learn a little about music. Once I got into like junior high, started doing a little more like drums and guitar, because it's rock and roll.
Right.
So, yeah. And that's been over 30 years now that I've been playing. And it's still a big part of my life. I wrote an English college writing class in high school as a senior. And they're like, what do you want to do, like, when you grow up? And I was like, well, I want to play in the NBA, the NFL, or be a rock star.
Those are three good choices.
So, NFL a little bit, but, I love playing, and I've since I did finish playing football, kind of played in bands pretty consistently since then, and just a great time. And, while I was down in Las Vegas, my great friend, Willie Ashley, who he is actually the vocalist in the band. I figured I would attempt to kind of sing one of our tunes.
Nice.
Because it's better than me just like playing some chords for you.
And does Tiger Frog have a number? Do you play some covers, but you play a lot of original stuff?
Our album, if you look on Spotify, it's all originals.
All original, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we've got a bunch more. I mean, we were writing a ton of songs together, and I do a lot of the music, and it was great to find him because I think he's awesome with the lyrics, which I have always kind of had a hard time with. And I think he's got an awesome rock and roll voice, great range. If you listen to it, it's like the very beginning, it's like this scream, type of growl. And it's like, who is this guy? It's like those classic rock and roll voices.
Go to Spotify and do Tiger Frog.
Tiger Frog on Spotify, and we can listen to some. If you guys are playing a live event, and say down in Vegas, do you mostly do all original stuff that you're playing, or do you do a few covers here and there?
Yeah, probably like I think for the shows that we were playing, we probably did about half and half.
Yeah.
So we, beyond the album that we released, I think there's 12 songs on there, and we have a full album's worth still to record and produce and everything. So we have a lot of material.
Cool. Which one are you going to sing? Which one are you going to sing for us tonight?
So I believe this is the first song that, when we met and kind of started writing some stuff, I sent over a bunch of music that I had written. And I believe this is among the very first, if not the first song that he sent me back, like a recording with his vocals and the lyrics and stuff. And it's a song called Slow. And I just thought it was awesome lyrics. It's just, you'll hear it, I guess, but it's, taking it slow, and you got just kind of like backing off of all the busyness that we have going on in life. And that's
a great message. Water right there if you need it. Right there, by the way, John. That's yours.
I'll take it.
By the way, as you're about to sing, we've just learned that Yegor Demon's going to announce tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. on his Instagram what his decision's going to be.
Well, that's
the NBA or coming back to BYU.
Now, I don't like to read too much into things, but I already have, right, by saying that down those guys went someplace else. But if you're going to make an announcement now, if you were thinking about going to the NBA still, wouldn't you wait till after the NBA draft camp and that kind of stuff and then make an announcement?
I think you have to announce to get to the NBA camp. So he's going to announce whether or not he's going to pursue it, which still gives him an option to come back. So there you go. So there's your breaking. I'm not going to read too much. Breaking Yegor news is we're going to find out what he's doing tomorrow. Right now, here's Jonny Harline. He was open, and Beck found him for the big touchdown. Tonight, he's playing his music on the Wise Guys.
All right.
down that phone, baby, don't you make that call. There was a time you didn't own a phone at all. What we've been doing, trust me, nobody cares. Let's make some memories that we ain't got to share. Now you're hustling every day and there's never no delay, and I always hear you saying, gotta go. But the night is so inviting and she's looking so excited, so you gotta do the right thing. Slow. Follow her footsteps that she's leaving in the sand. Gonna take you miles away from all your precious plans. Smoke from her fire that she's burning by the shore. Gonna take you places you ain't never been before. Now the reggae music's playing and she got her body swaying, so you better not be saying, I gotta go. And ain't no one mistaken the rhythm y'all be making, so you gotta do the right thing. Slow. You gotta take it slow. Gotta take it slow. Put your arms around your baby. Gotta take it slow. Fall out a stair, don't forget to let it slide. Pour out that bottle you've been keeping deep inside. You give and give and give, but you'll never take. Let's get to living, baby, before it's too late. Now I know I understand it, your life is so demanding that he never can abandon and just go. The reggae music's playing and she got her body swaying, so you know you gotta take it slow. You gotta take it slow. Gotta take it slow. Put your arms around your baby. I gotta take it slow.
Hey, the great Jonny Harline, taking it slow here on the Wise Guys. That was awesome.
Oh, thank you.
So fun. Yeah, we don't get, man, we just don't.
You don't get nervous doing that?
On this show.
You don't get nervous doing that?
A bit. I will say, like, I'm not the lead singer.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm not used to doing the lead vocal, but, you know,
that's awesome.
Do what I can.
That was great.
It's a great, fun song with a great message, too.
Oh, appreciate it.
Do you like doing the, which do you prefer? An acoustic guitar, that sound, or do you prefer to play electric and, you know,
well,
and do some shredding?
There's some of both, right? Like if Tiger Frog as the band name has any meaning at all, it's like you got the fiery tiger and you got this kind of relaxed, chill frog, you know. So I like kind of the mix of it. I mean, I like playing electric guitar the most.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
just
And he's going to do that for us, by the way.
We're going to see that in a few minutes.
Yeah.
He's going to shred on electric for us in a little bit. So
let's talk about summertime. And as a football player back in your day at BYU, getting ready for a season at tight end, what were your summers like? What was important to you to be game ready come August when the team's back together?
Developing chemistry with John, you know, the quarterback, and you know, and then just developing my individual skills. One thing I tried that I don't actually think worked that well was one summer I'm like, all right, I'm going to go all summer and I'm going to catch with no gloves, and then when the season starts, I'll put on the gloves. It'll just be a little bit easier, you know, and I don't know that helped me really. Like when I put on the gloves, I started like dropping a few. I think mostly in practice. I had very few drops that senior year, but yeah, I mean, just developing the timing, the rapport between the receivers, the quarterback, that's huge. And then, you know, just anything you can do to just get that little bit of edge with your athleticism, get a little faster, a little stronger, all those things.
You just heard us talking about 4-star tight end Brock Harris that just signed with BYU today. Not signed, he committed to BYU, and it's not signing day yet. He's not until next year's class. Of course, they're recruiting. These are juniors now that are committing in next year's class. Former tight end, Utah tight end, and Stanford tight end Carson Ryan transferred to BYU this season. Everybody's been saying, what's going on with BYU tight ends? Why don't they go to the tight ends like they used to when we had Johnny and Daniel and Andrew and Dennis and on and on and on. Great tradition. So they've got a couple of pieces now. Is it time for BYU to get back in the tight end game?
Yeah, I think it would be awesome. I mean, to me, I think the most important part is to just have a variety of ways that you can attack the defense. And a tight end is just really a great, I think, pressure release for the quarterback. You got a large target that's generally pretty close to you. So to me, it always seemed like a fairly easy throw and get kind of a safety for the quarterback at a minimum. So, having a back who can catch out of the backfield and then having that great rapport with your receivers, that it's hard to stop an offense, and that's really, I was mentioning working in the summer with developing the rapport with the quarterback. I know John worked with our 4 wideouts a ton because that was kind of seen as maybe a little bit weaker than the connection that I had with John and Curtis out of the backfield. And I think teams started keying in on us, and that made it a little difficult for us at times. But then once we got those outside guys going, it's like that was just, we were fairly unstoppable for the most part.
Isn't it interesting that it's not that you've got to have a tight end to hog the offense? Because there was you and Dennis Pitta. Just go down the list of Gordon Hudson. All along your great production of numbers and touchdowns, the receivers got open, the running backs were running. It was
CB
a complete
was catching
team.
balls out of the backfield, right?
It was a complete team when the tight end is part of it.
Yeah, and it's not a zero-sum game. It's like the more that each person produces, that helps the other players. And I mean, at some level, sure, there's a finite amount of plays and stuff like that, but it's like, the more productive your offense is, the more productive every individual on that offense is going to be too. So
we go back. Everybody remembers the great catch at the end of that game, and I was doing sideline for that game for television, so I had to do the first interview when the game was over with either Kyle or with Bronco. Didn't know who until the last play. Thanks, that made me stressed. But I remember, in addition to that, I remember the great one-on-one battle you had with Eric Weddle, and basically going into a game where Utah said, okay, Harline's a crazy weapon. This is they considered Eric the best defender in the country. We're going to put the best defender on the best receiver, and we're going to see what happens. So you knew that was one-on-one a lot of that game. They played some zone, but every time it was man, he just followed you. What was that like to have the challenge? Because you know how good Eric was and became. What was that like in that game?
Well, yeah, I mean, amazing player. And good guy, I believe, too. I don't know him very well.
He's a great guy. Yeah, he's great.
Really good guy.
He married a BYU girl. Of course, he finally got smart.
But, it was a kind of a mix as far as the man-to-man goes. They had, Casey Evans guarding me a lot as well. And, Sean Smith, Bryce McCann.
I mean, those are all NFL guys.
Yeah.
You're making a list of Utah's best defensive backs ever. All came from the same era. And they're going on you.
That is one thing. I was pretty proud about that game. Not just the last catch, but I had 3 touchdowns. I made some plays that I was happy with, and against high quality opponents, right? So that was awesome. And I will say, like, when Eric Weddle was guarding me, like, he was the best person that I thought guarded me maybe throughout my career, as far as, like, defenders, they get pretty handsy. And back in those days, they were not calling that.
Just let them hold you and grab you.
They're not calling that hardly at all. And I'm not complaining about that. I just felt like I just had to overcome that and deal with it. But he was the one that I was like, he wouldn't be touching me. And I'd make a move, and normally I'd be open, and he was right there a lot of the time. And I was like, man, this guy's really good. Yeah. The touchdown that I was fortunate to get when, on that fade route that I tipped it and stuff.
It's one of the great plays of that game.
Yeah, I mean,
totally overshadowed by the end.
Yeah, the end was, I don't know if it's an easier catch, but that catch was as big a part of the win in that game. And that was a crazy great catch.
Well, thank you. But he was right there on that one too. Like, that was extremely difficult. And, anytime you tip it, you get a little bit of element of luck in there as well. It's like, it stayed right there with me, so I was able to grab it. But, so he's a great player, and I feel, it's a proud feeling to go against, some of the best players and to come out on top and have a successful game.
This year's Cougs have Carson Ryan, who transfers down from Utah, 6'4", big body blocker, and that's part of it too. They tried the experiment with Keanu Hill last year. It just didn't work, and then he got banged up. But you need a bruiser for a tight end, don't you, to fire up the offense?
Yeah, I mean, playing physical and getting out in the secondary, that's a big part of it. I will mention as well, I've never met Carson, but we have a connection through high school. I went to high school with his mom.
What?
And his mom was the year ahead of me at Orem High School, and her dad was our athletic director, Steve Downey, and his daughter Danielle was the year ahead of me. And I found out, I actually just saw them a couple weekends ago. There's a few connections here, I guess, at a funeral for my high school basketball coach. So there were a lot of people from Orem High there, and one of my very best friends, it was his father who was our coach, who had passed, and he was on our team as well. And I remember him a long time ago telling me, like, hey, this kid, Daniel's son, Carson, is an awesome player. Like, when he was like sophomore or junior, and they're talking, he's telling me, like, there are a lot of people comparing him to you and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I hope he does well. So I've kind of followed him as he's gone, to I think UCLA, then.
Was it UCLA?
Right?
Yeah, that's right. UCLA, and then
Utah.
Then Utah. I said Stanford, but UCLA. You're right.
Yeah, I'm pumped for him to come down. And, I saw, like I said, I saw his mom for the first time, probably maybe since high school, last couple weekends ago at the funeral. And so I'm hopeful that he's going to finish off his career at BYU and just be a
He caught
awesome
a lot of
guy.
balls in spring practice.
Yeah, he looked good in spring ball. It's nice to have a guy that can play every down. You could play every down. The guys that came before and after you could play every down. And it seems like the last couple of years, BYU's had to kind of situationally substitute. Oh, we have to put a guy in that can block. Oh, we have to put a guy that can run this certain kind of route. And almost tipping the defense off. Oh, here comes this guy. They're not going to run the ball because this guy's in, right?
I will say, we did quite a bit of that actually with me and Daniel.
Yeah, because Daniel was a blocker. Right?
Yeah, and I think Coach and I, he maybe shuffled it up just enough to keep him honest. But I was honestly, a lot of the time, my junior and senior, I'm like, I can't believe they don't figure out some of the stuff that we're doing.
But here's
I lost a lot of respect for the defending planning there.
They were just bedazzled.
Here's what Robert did enough, because you could block and Daniel could go catch a ball. And so Robert would enough. He put Daniel in there attached. And then teams was like, well, here comes a run play. And then Daniel would block down a release or outside release and run a 12-yard out and catch a ball. And they go, dang it.
So as long as there's some, little bit of doubt in there and they got to play it honest, it's
or they play you detached and then go, let's cover Hartland. You come down and make a crack and just kill somebody, right? And so he mixed it up enough that they couldn't go, Harline's in, it's a pass. Daniel Coates is in, it's run. And I just saw Daniel at Alumni Day the other day. So he's coaching up at Farmington High School and doing a great job.
Oh,
so,
awesome.
Yep.
Jonny Harline's on the Wise Guys. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wiseguys.com. Just before we play the electric guitar and wrap this baby up, you're now ready to teach tight ends with your tight ends camp. Tell us about that and how folks can get their kids involved.
Yeah. Well, tight ends, receivers, or really with some of the younger ages, just general football.
Okay.
So I'm putting together a few different groups. My twin boys are 9, and they've been going to a camp type thing, once a week, and they just love it. They just go out there, they learn a few things, they have some fun. And my cousin Nate Johnson, he runs the training facility over at it's a solar company. It's where the old Gold's Gym on 8th North and Orem was.
Yeah.
And so down where those tennis courts used to be, they got a great field down there, and he's been doing like athletic performance training. And he's said he planted the seed like years back. He's like, hey, you need to come out and do some receiver training and stuff like that. And so finally we're back up here, and I'm like, yeah, let's make that happen. We'll get a young group with kids around my boys' age, middle group, and then kind of high school, more serious stuff, working on real detailed tight end type things. And just like mastery type things. So anyway, so we want to get started probably next week, I think is what we're aiming for.
How do people find out?
Yeah, so they can email Next Level Skills, but there's no E's in the next and level.
NXT.
We've got it in the stream right now.
Level is LVL, skills, and it's on the stream. But if you're listening on the podcast, NXT, so that's next. Level is LVL, and then skills at gmail.com, right? Next level skills at gmail.com.
Yeah, or there's, you can text 801-859-7233.
Yep. 801-859-7233.
If you want to be like Jonny Harline, you've got to learn from Jonny Harline.
That's right.
And now you have a chance to go to a tight end camp, receiver camp, football camp, and it's now the weather's decent. This is a good time to be out. This is a good time to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I think a big part of it is just, with something that's so rewarding about football is it's a lot of fun, but it's difficult too, and so it's a great thing for kids to start learning some of those things. And, it's also more fun when you're winning, and having success. Sure. So, helping these kids kind of develop that balance between enjoying the game, working hard, coming to love it. And so that's kind of what I hope to be able to share.
Fantastic.
And now that you guys have moved back, so I need you to be on my team next year on the alumni game.
Yeah.
They made me play this year, and we won. So now I get invited back next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I beat Brandon Dolman's team and Gavin's team.
It was something else.
So I could have used you out there.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, you need to be
the
back
other team
in that
had
game.
Cody Hoffman and Aleva Heath and all those guys. But I had some good guys too, including Rob Daniel, who was just in the NFL like 2 years ago. So I had a really fast couple of dudes, right?
Yeah, it's so fun, and it's kind of hilarious playing in that game. And I'm like,
you played in it before, yeah?
Yeah, I played twice. The first time I played, I was 40 years old. I'm 42 right now.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, and so then you got guys that are like fresh, a year or two out of the NFL or out of BYU, and it's just like, oh man. And I think I'm gonna I got a seam, I'm just gonna toast this guy and go right up there, and he's just running right along with me. I'm like,
we figured first half all of the quarterbacks struggled. Second half I figured out, you know what? I got Moroni, Leolu Pututau here. I'm just gonna hit the big guys underneath. It's just way easier, so I could use you out there next year.
All right, grab your
to team Navy.
Grab your electric guitar, and we'll plug that in. While you do that, we'll tell you Bob Hudson is going to join us. He's the chair of the French and Italian department at BYU. He's going to join us in a couple moments. We're going to. It's the French connection.
I threw out a French phrase for everybody.
Yeah, we're going to get a definition of that.
That we're going to have to give you my wife says this endearing. I don't even know what I'm saying.
We also can tell you that Yegor Demon's going to announce tomorrow his future plans on BYU TV, on BYU Sports Nation at 10 a.m. And that tells me if you're coming on BYU Sports Nation, I don't know if you're coming on to disappoint everybody. It's like there are other ways to do that.
Dave and I just love this kid. He is such a good soul. He is so fun to be around. And he just loves life. He loves his experience here. He loves basketball.
Let's see what
his
happens.
parents should be really proud of who he is because they did a fantastic job with him. Yegor's a great, great kid.
All right.
Here we go with Jonny.
So we've never had an electric guitar in here, but I love the direction we're going. What are you going to play?
Tell us about this one.
We're getting a little buzz here.
I had a little bit of a plan of what to play, but I think I'll just kind of
jam for a minute.
Jam something
Let's
out
do it.
here.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's do it.
There we go.
So who's your guitar idol? Like, do you have somebody that you grew up watching? They're just like, oh man, and you may have one or two, but is there somebody that's just your guitar idol?
Yeah, I love Slash from Guns N' Roses.
Oh, sure. He is amazing. Yeah.
So that for a long, he was probably my longest guitar hero as I was growing up and really learning to play. I love AC/DC, Angus Young.
That's his band. That's his favorite
classic.
band.
Hey. Yeah. I was at AC/DC in Vegas at the Thomas and Mack, and Slash was the warm-up band.
Oh yeah,
and he came out and played.
Tour,
he came out and played, and then the boys came out and I remember he came out with his big hair and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And Slash hit his guitar, and then he just was in full command.
Yeah, I mean, just unbelievable.
Does this date me that I love Eddie Van Halen? I think Eddie was just changed the way people did things, right?
Yes. I mean, those are maybe my top four guys: Eddie Van Halen, Slash, Angus Young, Zakk Wylde. I love as well.
How about Keith Urban?
Keith Urban, he's a great guitar player.
No, he's a great.
To him that much,
Dave took me to
awesome.
a concert, and I've never been. And I just watched him just go on the guitar and shred, and I said, "Okay, I had no idea."
And
that he
Brad
could play
Paisley
like
too.
Yeah.
Both those guys.
Yeah, Brad can play.
Yeah, I mean, when you're like a professional musician, it's kind of like in sports. I remember somebody was like, I can't remember which athlete it was, but it wasn't a basketball player, and he was like making a bunch of shots, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, he can do everything." It's like, you're an athlete. You can do that, And so it's like, if you're a professional musician, you're probably pretty good at guitar and, several instruments. So
yeah, who is it that plays with the Eagles now? Country star, but I'm losing my mind. DJ, you always know the answer to this. Who took the place of Glenn Frey in the band for the Eagles? I'm going to think of it here in a second. But anyhow, we went to watch him, and I thought, Vince Gill. Yeah, Vince Gill.
Okay.
I thought Vince Gill's a country artist. How's he going to be? We go to an Eagles concert, and I'm blown away. Like how he can play rock and roll guitar. He was phenomenal, and his voice is off the charts great and rock and roll.
Yeah,
but
awesome.
like you were saying, he plays in one genre, and that's where he made it big. He's a musician, right?
Yeah.
So, and you play drums, and you play piano, and you play guitar. Do you play any others, or those are three main ones?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say drums. It's been a long time, so I wouldn't. If you were like, "Hey, come play drums on the show," I'd say, "No, it's probably not a good idea."
I don't even know how to do it.
Yeah, but piano, I still could play piano. And I have these songs. I took lessons for like 8 years. I have a few like Mozart tunes I bust out every now and then.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and
hey,
so piano and guitar mostly.
We love that you're back living in Utah and you're back at BYU, where you should be at all the games coming up on the sideline.
Somebody on the stream said you should have a lifetime bench pass if you want it. So you brought. Is this your oldest, your daughter?
This is my daughter, Layla. Yep.
Hey, Layla, come over and say hi to the world. Do you want to make your first global appearance? Just come on in right next to your dad.
Do you want to sing or do anything?
Do you sing?
She does.
She's
in
too?
choir at her school.
So this is Layla. So she's your oldest. How old?
15.
15. What high school?
Juan Diego.
Juan Diego.
So Juan Diego.
Fantastic.
So you're on about 4 continents tonight, and then people will be downloading this all over the world tomorrow. So we wanted you to make your global debut here tonight.
Do you think your dad cool as a football player that made big plays, or that he can play the electric guitar?
Yeah, here you go on this.
I mean, I think the music is pretty cool, but like playing football is pretty. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they're both pretty good, right? If you can do it.
Yeah.
Well, he could do it, and he does it really well. So we hope you're proud of him.
Yeah.
Yeah? Good.
ITs are too much for her to say.
That's a great answer for a teenager. I'd take that any day.
Pretty
nice
proud.
job.
Usually at 15, they're like, Dad and Mom don't know anything. So,
hey, thanks for coming on the show.
Glad you rode down with your dad.
All right,
That's
thanks,
good.
guys.
Good luck with the football camps. And again, the information's on our stream. And also, we want to have you back as we get ready for a third season in the Big 12.
You can help us break down the tight ends and see how they're doing.
All right.
Jonny Harline and family.
Yes, thanks,
here
Layla.
on
Thanks, Johnny.
The Wise Guys. That's awesome.